Welcome everyone. Thank you so much. I have people here at Tushita and three people online. Thank you very much. We will start with posture and motivation as usual. Very important to sit well. You're sitting on the cushion. Make sure your cross-legged posture is comfortable. That doesn't look too comfortable. Have you? Yeah. Just make sure you can sit so you feel grounded and your back is supported. That's why we've given you a couple of cushions, I think. So make sure, yeah, you're. Hmm. Have you ever done any yoga? No. Oh. So, Bishop, can you help our friend with the legs? Your legs look a bit entangled. Also, jeans doesn't help. No, you don't have to do a full lotus or anything extravagant, but the way you have it, that's going to be a little uncomfortable. So while Bishop shows our new person, the posture, we can rest of us can be ready. People, yeah, you're comfortable like that. Okay, let the back be straight. That's quite important. That one shouldn't compromise on unless one has something wrong with the back. And the reason for this should be quite obvious. Uh, when we slouch or when we sit in a tangled way or crooked way, uh, the flow of air, energy in the body is obviously going to be affected. So we sit upright with the shoulders level, the arms a little bit away from the body to allow air to circulate. Yeah? And your head can be tilted slightly forwards, downwards. In other words, it shouldn't be up in the air. It should be slightly tilted forwards. So the back of your neck is stretched a little. Um, Hands can be on your knees or in your lap. It's very simple to keep them on your knees, the palms down. That's very simple and relaxing. If you know the proper meditation mudra for the hands, then that's good. Not essential. Usually, when we sit on chair, we have both feet, both the soles of the feet, both of them on the ground, but that helps to ground one more. See, see how that goes. Then let there be a sense of openness in the chest, not puffed out, but not constricted either. Check for tension. Tension is likely to be there actually throughout the body. That's just the nature of our lives, our lifestyle also. It's very unlikely that we feel relaxed in all parts of our body, but you may feel some specific areas of tension. And it is good to check in the shoulders and the stomach, the muscles of the face, and it can be helpful to just bring your attention to those places and sense that the tension is leaving your body as you breathe out, allowing the breath to carry the tension away. Posture has a deeper meaning than just the physical one. We could say that having this upright, very rounded posture is a sign, is a symbol of our confidence, healthy self-confidence, which is so important. So the dignity of being a good human being, that is reflected in this posture. And together with the uprightness of the back, there's the openness of the front of the body, which occurs naturally in this posture. And so that, you could say, signifies our being willing to open up and open our hearts and communicate with the world, with others. We're not trying to hide. And this aspect becomes very important in the so-called Mahayana teachings of Buddhism, where the emphasis is on reaching out and working with other people, helping other people, out of a sense of caring for them, out of a sense of seeing their suffering, seeing how they need help, wishing to alleviate their difficult situations, their pain. So for that, we need we need an open-hearted attitude, open-hearted quality. Posture is therefore very, very important, significant. And when we're talking about practice of meditation, then such a posture becomes really very important and essential, really, in the beginning. Not just in the beginning, middle, and end, one might say. So now that the posture is somewhat set, we're getting used to it, stabilizing it, we can work with the mind. The mind, or awareness, consciousness, for most of us, mind would mean our thoughts, our memories, hopes and fears, plans for the future, and so forth. Our mind, all these contents are a little bit jumbled up at the moment. They come and go thick and fast in a continuous stream of thinking, often somewhat confused or anxious, full of hopes, expectations, sometimes fear, anxiety, worry. So this is something that we experience, and it is shared by all living beings. So let's just keep it to human beings for the time being. And if we were to investigate, I think, impartially, we would see very clearly that very almost nobody we know has experiences a state of continuous well-being or happiness, calm. Everybody is in a state of somewhat a restlessness, inability to really enjoy the present moment. People are caught up in all kinds of dramas, of course, also in conflict. Some people don't have enough to eat. Many people don't have a home. They don't have even access to good drinking water. And of course, then many people are in a state of conflict with one another, either on a personal level, family level, society, or even international level, national level. This is going on. One fact also we can't deny, it would be very hard to deny, is that we all want to be happy. We all want pleasant experience. We don't want any kind of suffering at all. So much so that if there's the slightest discomfort, we will, do something to alleviate it, change that situation immediately. The other thing to consider in terms of our wish for happiness is the recognition that a lot of what we're doing, people are doing, is bringing the opposite of what they want. Wanting happiness, but behaving in such a way that it brings about dissatisfaction, problem, unhappiness. You can check in your life and in the lives of people to see whether this is true or not. We behave in very strange ways, harming ourselves and others with the way we act, the way we speak, the way we think. And we expect happiness. We expect some kind of benefit from that, which is very foolish. Seeing all of this, some people would get annoyed or angry at this situation. Some people, if we train our mind, we can also generate kindness and compassion seeing this situation. Compassion meaning seeing the suffering, the confusion of people, and wishing to free them of that, help them get rid of that. That's the kind of response we are working to generate in a very genuine way in our practice. That sense of sincere compassion. So this is all what I'm saying is all connected with what we call motivation, meaning the reason or the motivation behind our practice, behind our session here today. So, we're not here just to get shelter from the rain. We're not here just, to socialize. There's nothing wrong with socializing. We're here also to investigate and create the causes for long-term happiness and hopefully also generate a little bit of insight and kindness towards ourselves and others. This is important. So just as someone might go shopping on a bargain day, a day of sale, in with the motivation of buying things cheap. Gambler may go all the way to Goa to gamble at the casinos there and make some money, enjoy the glamour of it all. We come here to Tushita with the motivation of creating the causes of lasting joy, lasting happiness, which is based on understanding the mind, working with the mind. This is the big difference. Most people think happiness comes from outside, from objects, from people, external things alone, whereas from the perspective of the Buddha, uh, happiness can only arise, true happiness can only arise if the mind has been purified, the mind is somehow tamed. And that the potential for anger, greed, and so forth, until those factors have been calmed and eliminated, uh, we cannot really experience any true happiness in life. So here we're working from the inside out. This is our motivation. So in order to achieve any of these things, to work towards them, we need some kind of calm, clear mind, which is then able to engage in deep investigation. So we start our practice with what we call the breath awareness, where we are simply feeling, sensing the breath. We are paying attention to the sensation of our breath as we breathe in and out. And we do that by placing our attention at the tip of our nostrils as the breath enters and leaves. We feel it at our nostrils. It may take a while to pick up that sensation since we're not used to doing it. But the sensation is there. We become quiet, pay attention closely. We can feel the sensation at our nostrils. So we breathe in and out normally. Don't try to breathe in any special way, but initially we may be useful to take a few deep breaths to bring our awareness to that area. So you can try that. Take a few deep breaths and bring the attention to the tip of the nostrils, sensation of the breath. thoughts, images, memories will arise. What to do? Just recognize, but don't get involved with them or start following them or creating a big story. Just let it go, let them go, and bring the attention back to the breath. Let go, come back to the breath, sensation of breath, and the sense of letting go with the out breath. Recognizing the distraction, the distracting thought, relaxed manner, just letting it go, coming back to the breath. Let there be a stillness in the body, quality of being relaxed, not tense, but also very attentive, really very vigilant. welcome, latecomers. After a long time. Okay, so we have some new people today who have not been following what we have been doing in the last few weeks. So I don't know how much to go forward. Maybe we need to do some revision. This can always be a good idea. So we were looking first at causes of happiness, and then we started looking at habitual patterns, and then also what this holding on to the self, which of course is our main problem, holding on to a very strong sense of identity and thinking that that's really me, holding on to it so strongly that the whole worldview, our whole worldview gets colored by that. And the Buddha said this was the main cause of our suffering, the root cause of our suffering. It's holding on to a strong sense of I, me, mine. So we were looking at these things, at these different topics. Maybe we should revisit some of them, check how much people are getting the idea. So maybe this session can be a little bit interactive. So it's a good idea. Keep people on their toes, and also it helps me not to have to talk so much. You can't hear me. Oh dear. Can't hear me. Who can't hear me? Who is that? You can't hear me. Vikram. And you can't hear me, Jatinta. Oh dear. How long haven't you been hearing me? Can you hear me? Ajirji? Klaus? No? What's going on? Neil? Maybe that helps to have the speaker. The microphone, thanks. That could help. Can nobody hear me? Hello, could you respond? Vikram, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You can. You can.
I can.
Is it better now?
Very well. Yeah.
Ajirji can
That's
hear me
much
very
better.
well. That's
That's much better, Kabirji.
Thank you. Yeah, we have
Much
a
better.
microphone now.
Yeah, it's much better, Kabir, much better.
Much
Okay,
better.
good. So happy. So happy. Yeah, okay. Right.
विक्रम जी बहुत दिन के बाद आए हैं.
Yes. All these what do they call malingers? Anyway.
No, Kabir, I've been taking a course at Tibet House, and that has clashed with the sessions that you have. So that's the reason for my absence.
Well, the Bible tells us to forgive, and I think we Buddhists also forgive people occasionally. So, all right, you are forgiven. Now, just now you pay attention. Tibet House, of course, very high-level teaching. So, this for you is kindergarten, but never mind. Kindergarten is also useful sometimes. Okay, there's a lot of chats already. What are they about? Awaz nahi aa raha hai, better, can't hear, it's low, can't hear you, struggling to hear. You see, this is all suffering. Sound is very low. Yeah, okay, thank you for all those 12 messages. I hope now this problem is solved. Okay, so now, if I were to ask someone, then what would you answer if I were to ask you what really creates lasting happiness? What would you say? You could even tell me what you would have said before you met the Buddhist teachings and what you might say now. And I can see you all thinking, oh, if I say something, will it be the right answer or the wrong answer? You don't need to worry about right or wrong answer. There's not a test. Well, it is a kind of test, but not a very important one. So just what do you think? Vikram, you're grinning away. You look very happy. So let me ask you, why are you so happy? What
Well,
makes you happy?
Post Tibet House, I would say self-grasping ignorance is at the root of it.
That makes you happy?
That makes you unhappy.
Okay. So what are the causes for happiness? And I mean, did you ever have a stage in your life when you thought happiness came from outside mainly?
Well, I mean, quite a significant chunk of my life, I think I would have held that view.
And have you changed it?
I think I have.
You think you have? Not
Yes.
sure. Okay.
I mean, I think it's an interplay, but I think the internal side is now more predominant.
Why does Buddha say that the mind is the chief cause of suffering and of happiness? Why do you think the Buddha said that? Didn't expect that, did you? Yeah.
No, I mean, this has to do with cognitive and cognitive afflictions and things like that.
No, don't talk this high level stuff. In layman's language, layman ke bhasha mein samjhaiye why the Buddha said the mind is so important. Give an example if you can of how important
I think from the perspective of psychology, essentially the mind becoming clouded with emotions that can lead you astray. And I think in that sense, which is probably not a very profound way of looking at it, but in that sense, the mind is the source of a lot of unhappiness and also of happiness. And if you can remove those emotive factors, I won't say afflictions because you'll get upset.
No. Affliction is okay. That's
you can remove those afflictions, you might be a whole lot happier. And then as some of the texts we've been reading say, you might have a clearer a mind in that sense. And I think the notion of clarity is a very specific one, which I'll leave to you to explain.
Clarity. Okay. Can someone give me an example from their life of how important the mind is, and even more important than external factors, and how it really plays the largest role in determining whether we are going to be satisfied and happy or whether we're going to be unhappy, basically? Can anybody give some example from their life? A simple one.
I think the life any human being is like where you float between desires and the perceptions.
Desires and?
Desire and perception of surrounding, perception of our views about surrounding.
Views about surroundings.
Okay. Perception, our interpretation of those things. So it's our interpretation makes us feel sad or happy or whatever.
Okay. Can you give an example from your life, or from the life, if you don't want to give a personal example, something very clear from the life of another person?
My point of view is that if I say my desire fulfilled, or if I want a new car or something, then I get a car and then I feel happy. And this same car breaks down after 6 months and gives me a problem, then I'm very unhappy.
Right. And so what? Are you saying that external things like cars don't bring lasting happiness, or are you saying that it depends on the mind whether you're going to be happy or not?
Yeah, it depends on the mind, and external things often doesn't bring anything that is sad or happiness. Is your perception of those things makes us feel what are we.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I mean, I can relate to that. For example, my cousin and I bought quite an expensive washing machine, and we put our first load of wash in the machine today, and today it's raining in Delhi. So, you know, there's kind of we chose the wrong day to wash 6 kg of clothes or whatever, or 6.5 kg. I think he put it on the roof to dry, or to get wet. So I don't know. I'll only know when I get home what the result was for my cousin. I mean, I can laugh it off, but that's because I wasn't at home today. But anyway, you know, things like that can be very annoying, and it can make us very upset. But it depends how we look at it. You could also laugh at it. You could.
If we put the value on those things, those events, or those entities, then we will feel sad or happy, depending on you.
Yeah, if I only had if I had 2 pairs of clothes only, then I'd be very unhappy, because, you know, if one pair of clothes is wet and I need clean clothes tomorrow, I'm in trouble. But luckily, I'm not in that situation. But yeah, I think it's always, we can always come back to the mind and check whether the mind is basically relaxed and just observing, or whether it's kind of uptight and is reacting to everything as though everything is a kind of almost like a threat or a reward, you know. So we're looking at things from that perspective in a very tense sort of way. And when we can relax, then we could even, you know, find these things amusing, which other people would find amusing. I mean, Ajirji was laughing that our wash is now being washed in the rain, the dirty rain of Delhi, you know, with all the pollution also. So it had a whole dose of pollution during the day, and now it's getting the rain, but not enough rain to probably wash out all the pollution. So anyway, I think this just shows that if you have a washing machine or not, there's still going to be a lot of, you know, problems in life. So better just to have a, you know, happy mind. And there's thunder going on now. So I just hope our clothes don't get struck by lightning, because that wouldn't be great. Anyway, the point is, how much can we rely on external things? Not much, I think. Would you agree? Whether it's a person or a washing machine or clothes or your status, any number of things, money, you know, the perfect object, the perfect relationship can turn into something else. You know, things are changing all the time. So we can't rely on those things. And what you said about disturbing emotions, the afflictions, I think that that's a very key point. If we have a whole bunch of them in our mind, it's like having, you know, a lot of green chilies in your soup, and you're someone in your lentils, in your dal, and you're someone who doesn't like, you know, green chilies. So then one gets really badly affected by that. So these disturbing emotions, they are really making a mess. They're making a mess of our life. And they are something internal. They're not on the outside, they're on the inside, you know. The anger we have or the irritation we have is not outside, it's inside, you know. And it's outside things trigger it, but it's not on the outside, it's on the inside. It doesn't trigger everybody. But if it triggers us because we have anger, then we suffer, you know. It's quite hard sometimes to understand that if we didn't have anger at all in our mind, if we had uprooted the cause of anger, then nothing in the world could make us angry. And that sounds strange, doesn't it? But nothing would make us angry. Doesn't mean we wouldn't want to change certain things, but we wouldn't get angry in that sense of losing control of the mind and wanting to harm the object of our anger or something like that. There just wouldn't be that normal reaction. So that depends on what we do with our mind. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
It's
and
the people here at Tushita, what do you think? There are real people in front of me here. I'm sorry, folks. You guys are still just rectangles, images, but there are real people here. 5 people here at Tushita. I don't know the other beings here, but there are 5 humans here. So would people agree here with what's being said, or is it very outlandish? Vishad, yeah, Vijayaji, yeah. And then, of course, we also spoke about how if we act in certain ways, that is going to create problems. That's going to create suffering if we kill or steal or engage in sexual misconduct, or if we lie and so forth. That's going to create problems according to the law of karma, which is a law of the universe, not something invented by Lord Buddha. We also spoke about that if we don't avoid those kind of negative actions, well, we are going to experience the result. We will experience the result of those actions. So then ethical conduct, behaving well, behaving properly becomes a very essential ingredient of life, yeah, in order to avoid the causes of suffering. Of course, at a subtle level, we have to avoid thinking in certain ways. We have to engage in, deeper practice to uproot the cause of it. But at least we can stop the grosser levels of negative action. Yeah. Then what else? What else did we speak of in terms of causes of lasting happiness, lasting satisfaction? Was there anything else that we mentioned that people can remember? So, people who were with the earlier sessions.
Kabirji, we talked about 10 non-virtuous.
Yeah, we spoke about the 10 non-virtuous ones. And I mentioned 4 of them, but there's also, in addition to lying, there are 3 more connected with speech, which are, who would like to tell us what the 4 unwholesome actions of speech are? This is all revision. Vikram, are you a diploma or a master student?
I'm in the Nalanda diploma course.
Diploma, okay.
Which has been merged with the master's course, but I'm in the diploma course.
Okay. And what topic are you studying?
Bodhicitta.
Bodhicitta. Okay, so for that mind of great compassion, bodhicitta, to arise, we have to have ironed out some of our grosser ways of behaving, right? Would you agree? I mean,
yes.
Gross meaning gross unwholesome ways of behaving.
Right.
So, did Geshe-la mention at all the 10 unwholesome actions to be avoided?
I think he did, yes.
Aha. And do you have any memory of that?
Yes, body, speech, and mind, and in terms of speech, idle gossip, lying,
Yes.
harsh speech, and divisive speech.
Excellent. 100%. Great. That's absolutely right. Lying, divisive speech, harsh speech, idle gossip. And then there are 3 unwholesome states of mind, aren't there? I mean, root. If we talk, I mean, there are many, but the 3 main ones mentioned in the list of 10, can you remember them?
Yes, ill will.
Yes.
A wrong view.
Wrong views, yes.
Wrong view and covetousness.
Yeah, covetousness, or this, mind of wanting, greedy mind. Yeah, great. So what we're saying is, what Buddha is saying is, that if we indulge these kind of states of mind, if we engage in speech like that, like you mentioned, and if we engage in the 3 non-virtuous actions of the body, killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, then there will be suffering as a consequence. Why that happens? Well, in some ways, it's hard to explain exactly. Someone might say, well, stealing, you could get caught. You could become unpopular even if you're not caught. People could see you and then not trust you, or you could go to jail even. But what Buddhism is saying is deeper than that. It's saying that as a result of stealing, for example, it can affect your future life even. Definitely, we're talking long term. So that the result of stealing would be what? What would be the result of stealing in a future life, according to what we have been studying and discussing? Anybody? What would the result of stealing be? Taking that which is not given. Sorry?
Deprived of something in the future.
Deprived, that's good, yeah. Deprived of something. What do you mean by that exactly?
When something doesn't belong to you, you take it from someone else's share. So that has to be balanced somehow in the symmetry of nature.
So you're saying you would be deprived of something as a result. So someone would then take from you. Okay. So yeah.
Or you may just lose what you have.
You lose what you have.
Taking it from.
Yeah. You lose what you have. People take what you have. What would be another very negative result of stealing?
Guilt.
Huh?
Guilt.
Yeah, guilt could also be there, but it's yeah.
You know you did something wrong, so that is
That is also there. Yes, yeah, that is there.
Poverty would be the extreme, Kabir.
Poverty, yeah, that is one of the things mentioned, that if you steal, you're creating the cause to be poor, which of course sounds not very nice, because then you look at all the poor people and you say, that's not a nice thing to say about them, but actually it's just something almost, you could say, scientific in a sense, from a Buddhist perspective, that if you give, if you're generous, then you create the cause to have more. That makes some kind of sense. And if you steal, you are creating the cause not to have enough. But what is another very damaging aspect of stealing, and one which is perhaps easiest to understand or easy to understand? What would be the effect in a future life? Remember habitual patterns? We are talking of habitual patterns.
Probably continue to engage in the similar action.
Yeah, so you engage in a similar action in the future, the action of stealing. The more we do it in this life, the more the habit, the imprint is there in the mind, the easier it is to steal in the future. It's a habit. And if it's powerful enough, it can be very powerful again in the future. So this means we keep on stealing, becomes a very powerful habit. We keep on creating causes of suffering as a result. So it's not that we're just experiencing the results of one cycle of stealing, then again we are stealing again and again and again due to habit, and just building up endless cycles of suffering, repeating it again and again, we'll experience the results of having the habit, and so forth. Yeah, so one of our students here has fallen asleep and the mobile is ringing. So what is the karmic cause of that? It is partly senior years, partly, what the Buddha said about getting old. We do go to sleep during boring lectures. Yeah, this is true. And being the collective karma of being born at a time when there is such technology as smartphones, and forgetting to turn them off or put them on silent. Anyway, yeah, so we have to be careful of that one. Habit built up is so destructive. It's wonderful if it's a positive action, then that's wonderful. If we're, say, generous, or we preserve life, or, whatever, have a very loving mind, and use very, very kind speech with other people, then of course it's wonderful to be engaging in that again and again. But otherwise, in terms of any of the 10 non-virtuous actions, this is very destructive. Just endless pain, endless suffering. And the teachings have very, very strong, powerful things to say about these things. For example, if you kill, if you're, I mean, I've heard things which are very hard to digest, but, I'll repeat it just so you hear it, because I've heard it from from several teachers, including Lama Zopa Rinpoche, who was our main teacher. He said that if you say you're someone who kills fish, then the result of killing fish, you can be reborn as a fish again and again and again in the future, and you will also have to, go through that.
And get killed by other people.
Yeah, also. So who knows how karma operates? We don't know exactly how it works. We can't see. So which is why it's considered a very deep topic, which only enlightened mind can fully understand. But some aspects we can understand. And as mentioned here by Vijayaji here, most people, when they engage in an unwholesome action, at some point they may well feel some guilt, guilty feeling. Something doesn't feel right, Even a, mass murderer at some level may realize that, knows what they're doing is wrong, So it's hard to find in that sense what we might call 100% evil person who doesn't have any room in their mind for any kind of conscience. That is maybe, anyway, from Buddhist perspective, we don't talk in terms of 100% evil, because we feel that deep down everybody is actually has a very pure nature, just temporarily obscured. So we don't talk of evil people. We speak of people who have engaged in very wrong actions or evil kind of actions, but the person themselves are not inherently evil. They are temporarily disturbed, temporarily under the control of their negative actions, their negative states of mind. So that's important. That's a very important thing, because it's so easy to classify people and hate people because we say they're evil, they're awful, they're evil, There's nothing good in them. We exaggerate the evil, the unlikable, ugly aspect of them. And then, of course, we're happy if they die, or which is a very negative thing to feel, that kind of thought. So if we know that they are actually temporarily the slave of an unwholesome emotion, then that helps us to even feel compassion for them. We feel they're like a sick person. Okay, so we're talking of causes of happiness, and we've been sidetracked, but good, in a good way, towards seeing what the causes of suffering are. So we then realize we have to avoid those 10 non-virtuous actions, engage in the opposite, and then we can begin to enjoy the results of positive karma. So, there are people who have lives which are relatively harmonious. They have enough to eat and drink and decent places to sleep, enough clothing, bedding, everything. Sometimes one feels cold at night, but then one is living in a house where there is an extra, quilt, extra razai. So then one can use that. But there are people who don't have access to, warm clothing or, whatever they need. But the results of good karma, the results of positive action, is that we do have what we need. We're comfortable, or we may be very temporarily uncomfortable or suffering. So it's all the play of cause and effect. It's nothing unscientific being spoken of, because, think about it. Say you are born in a very poor family, in a very desert, in a kind of desert-like place where there's very little sustenance. Imagine if, somebody like Buddha or God wanted it that way, wanted it that way for you, that wouldn't be acceptable to the Buddhist way of thinking. We say that oneself or the cause has been created. There's a cause for it. Isn't that more reasonable to say there are causes for things which we ourselves have created? Deep down, we have created the deep cause. They don't just happen, or we're not at the mercy of some other power who is playing around with us, wants us to suffer, wants us to be born with a disease or without parents or whatever, with our parents dead, meaning. So we say we've created the cause. Or you say there's no cause whatsoever for things. Things are just totally random. Things happen totally randomly. Well, is there anything in life we can see which is like that? Totally random. I mean, look around you. Is everything just come about totally randomly, without causes, without conditions? Can you think of anything? It might be hard to think of anything that has no cause. Everything has a cause, from the conventional point of view. We're looking at conventional truth, the ordinary day-to-day truth of things. Everything has a cause. Can you think of something that doesn't have a cause? Anybody? And which makes a lot of sense to say that it doesn't have any cause? I guess you could say, yeah, you're walking down the street and there's construction going on, a brick falls on your head and you die. So yeah, the cause is the brick on your head. That's what actually causes you to die. But is there a deeper reason for that? There may be several people walking with you and they don't get hit on the head, Or you may be in an aircraft which has a minor crash or a major crash even. Some people die and some people don't. Can we take cause and effect, even to
I
that
have a
level?
question, sir.
Yes, please. Jatinder ji, yes.
Yeah. Say, for example, if somebody's suffering from severe illness or some cause of affliction or something, and we say, okay, it is a past karma or something. Right? Wouldn't that be so judgmental view of our to think that way?
Well, if that means that we're going to ignore that person and just say to them, look, it's your karma, it's your fault, and then ignore them, ignore their suffering, then of course that's totally wrong, isn't it? From just a human point of view. But you see, if a doctor tells a patient, look, you are suffering from this terrible disease because the way you're living your life and what you're eating and all the smoking and drinking you're doing is harming you, we wouldn't say that's cruel of the doctor to tell the person why they're suffering.
Yes.
We would say they're being very kind.
So that's a different thing, because this is the cause. What cause you did a heavy drinking or not looking after yourself, that can cause some illnesses. But if somebody's living a normal life and all of a sudden have that cancer or any other serious illness or something, and he's suffering with pain and everything, and we say, oh, it's a past karma, then it's our views on those things. It can be
tricky. Yeah, we wouldn't say that to a person unless we knew they had some faith in the law of karma. And as you know, in India, many people say that especially maybe not so much people in urban areas, I'm not sure, maybe more in the villages, something happens, they say, yeah, this is a karam ka khel hai, yeah. Well, yeah. Or, Bhagwan chahte hain, God wants it.
Less in a Western society, they take it as it is, right? But in Eastern culture, we pin the blame on your past karma.
Well, it's not about blame, it's about causes. So if someone can begin to, bend their mind around that and, get around this idea that there could be beginningless lifetimes, that this is not the only life we are living, that there have been many, many lives beforehand, which is a central tenet of Buddhism, beginningless mind, then we can imagine that we've done so many things. This awareness, this consciousness in previous lives has engaged in so many different kinds of thoughts and actions and motivations, which have created so many kinds of actions of speech and body and so forth, that there are going to be results of that. There are going to be results. This is what we have to start thinking about. So more reflection and study on that could be useful.
Yeah.
And then our whole perspective changes. But yeah, to go around telling people it's your karma, going into hospitals and to the cancer ward and saying, I'm a Buddhist and I've come to help you. And by the way, you're suffering because it's your karma. You've done bad things in a past life. We wouldn't do that. We wouldn't speak like that. But if we felt that the person was open to different kind of ideas, then we might speak about the past or past lives and how important it is to engage in, positive action, and that, one could discuss those things, cause and effect. But yeah, one has to do everything with kindness and what is appropriate.
Because the possibility that when we retain this kind of views about the judgmental views, it's likely that our compassion depletes.
It depends. It could actually be greater. One's compassion, if it's judgmental in the sense of negative and not being skillful, I agree. But actually, law of karma, understanding that makes one more compassionate, because one realizes how, the person has created the cause for their present suffering. And, we need to help them not do things like that, not create the cause, stop creating the cause. If it was just random, then it would just be, what do you think? What do people think? If it's just random suffering without any cause whatsoever, you could argue that would make one more compassionate. Would that make one more compassionate if we thought there was no cause for somebody's suffering? Or is suffering? Whether you can identify the cause or not. But you see, if as a Buddhist you say this person is suffering from their friends being, let's say, okay, take another example. They are suffering from loss. They're suffering from, losing things, being stolen from, and so forth, and not being believed because of stealing and lying in a past life. That can make one feel very sad that this being has been creating, this unwholesome karma and is now suffering the result. And if they're not careful, they'll be creating more and more of this kind of karma in the future. So actually, it can make one feel a sense of urgency and wanting to help. You had.
Like I was saying, is something respecting that dimension of feeling know the cause or not know the cause. Because if we have attained that level of understanding that a human is suffering, maybe as a human, first rather than thinking what they have done or what they haven't done. Because as a human, it's my nature to go and help.
Yes. As the gentleman is saying, that in one sense, if someone is suffering, there's no point going into what the cause of it is, at least not in terms of the immediate situation. Immediately, one should help that person, right? That's what you're saying. And in fact, the Buddha did say something similar at one point, that if you have an arrow in your eye, you don't need to ask where it came from, who shot the arrow, what kind of wood it is made out of, and etc., etc. what you need to do right now is, take the arrow out of your eye and, cure your wound. So in one sense, of course, it's right. But if we want to stop getting arrows in our eye or any kind of suffering, the Buddha said we have to stop creating the cause, you see, because there's a cause for all the suffering we experience. And the cause is unwholesome karma, unwholesome states of mind, unwholesome speech, unwholesome action. That is what is making us suffer. So we have to understand that and stop that and practice, the opposite of all of that. Otherwise, we'll just keep on suffering again and again, endlessly. And not just, in a human form. We will have much, much more difficult circumstances to deal with as animals or, even lower realms, lower than animals. So, or one should say more painful realms than animal realm. That's the thing. Vishad, you had?
I think we just talking about compassion is not just looking at people and feeling bad for them. Compassion is also about taking action, right?
Yes.
If you don't understand the end results of certain causes, you cannot really help them in a sense that you can't really tell them what is the right behavior, and that can lead to more suffering, right?
Exactly.
So essentially, if there's no compassion, you can't really help people. It's not even a compassion, it's just feeling bad for people.
Yeah, we can't just feel bad for people. We have to help them. Vishad Bhai is saying we have to help them. And so someone who understands cause and effect a little bit would then be able to gradually help someone to see the truth of that and to give them the incentive to practice that which is conducive to happiness and not create more causes for suffering. Yeah. And of course, there are different levels of that.
Yeah, but the point was, if everything was random, if suffering was random, then there's no compassion.
What do you think? Would there be no compassion?
There would be just feeling bad, which is more of an empathy sort of a thing. There will be a lot of empathy, but compassion is also about action. And
that's a very good point. Yeah, that's a very good point. He's saying that if things were just random, then you could feel empathy and some kind of sort of care and wish to help. But if you understood the causes, you would have a much deeper compassion, because it would be compassion in action. You would then help that person to understand the causes of pain and misery and help them to avoid it, and help them understand how one needs to practice, certain other kinds of actions in order to gain happiness. One would put them on the right path, as it were. So that would be real compassion, to help people create the causes of suffering, create the causes of happiness, and avoid those of suffering. Because, many people just don't accept at all this law of cause and effect, not at least not operating over long periods of time.
Kabir, a compassionate person understand that also, and you sort of guide them in a way that, although they don't really believe in past action, if they're really compassionate, you can also tell them things in a more skillful way that it doesn't hurt their ego. At the same time, they're doing things which is conducive for the happiness in the future.
Right. Yeah. One has to skillfully guide people. One doesn't have to give them a lecture on Buddhism, because some people may not want to hear anything like that. So one has to gently guide them in the right direction, maybe sometimes just by showing a good example oneself. Yeah. Okay. Any feedback from anyone? Ajirji? Klaus, Elena, Suman? Are you trying to
Hello.
say something? Yes. Hello.
Do you hear me?
You seem like a long way away,
me?
but hello. Who's speaking?
Do you hear me now? Hello.
Is that a Jirji? Yes. Boliye.
Yeah. Okay. I think my battery is down. It always when I want to say something because one is that in the Buddhist practice, not understanding the law of cause and effect is considered one ignorance. So that's one. And the second is that the karma in the Buddhist perspective is not only hidden phenomena, but is very deep hidden phenomena.
Deep
And
what?
one of the classic examples which is given in the Buddhism,
I didn't get that.
it's very hidden.
Hidden, yes, that's right. Very hidden phenomena. Yeah.
It is very deep hidden phenomena.
Deeply hidden phenomena, yes.
And very often it is it's very difficult to correlate the cause and the effect. I
Yes.
think it's only the people with the clairvoyance can really a relationship.
Yes. This is the
One
problem.
of the
Yeah.
great story which is always when Shariputra was going for his morning, he saw a lady who was sitting with a baby in her arms,
Yes.
and she was eating the fish.
The baby,
And
yeah.
there was a
Yeah.
dog, and she was,
Yes.
so he saw with his clairvoyance that the baby in the arm was the enemy
Of a previous life. Yes. Yes.
enemy previous life. And the fish that he was eating was her father. And the dog to which he was eating was a mother. And seeing that, Shariputra said, what a strange world of karma.
Mhm.
So I think often it is very difficult to really see the cause and effect relationship.
Yes, indeed.
But I find that when I accept in the life what is happening to me is the fruition of my past karma, that acceptance calms my mind. There's no hesitation. It's almost like taking the self-responsibility. This is my own and I need to own. That calms my mind and makes it alert that I should not repeat that in the future. I think I really find it very useful. That is I found,
Okay. Thank you, Ajirji. Thank you. Yeah. Your voice wasn't very clear, but I think we got it. Yeah. It's like also when you go to a good doctor and he's able to analyze what your problem is, what the cause of it is, one is very grateful, even though there may be quite a big problem. But if the doctor can isolate the cause, then somehow one feels relieved, because then one realizes if one can get rid of that cause, then one will be well, one will be cured. Whereas if things are totally random, and then you don't know what to do, there's nothing to do. You just have to trust on, I don't know, good luck. But if we know there's a cause, then we can work with eliminating the cause. So actually, it's very positive. The law of cause and effect, karmic law, when used properly, is very, very good, very encouraging. It means actually the future is in our own hands. We determine what we're going to experience in the future through how we behave now. It's not up to Buddha, not up to God, not up to any, Satan or anyone. It's up to us what we experience. In a very precise way, even we can create causes for, kind of precise kind of effects in the future. For example, by helping people, it said, with very heavy work, lifting things and carrying things for people, with a good attitude, doing, hard work for people which they can't do themselves. That is said to create the cause for having a strong body in a future life. You yourself then have a strong body, let alone being helped by other people maybe, but that creates the cause to have strength, by so different actions. There are 8 different kinds of positive qualities that we should aim for in a future life as a human, and all of those positive things have particular karmic causes. So if we engage in those kind of causes, we can have a human body which is long-lived and strong and good-looking, and etc., useful for others in so many ways. So it helps. And then when we know that certain actions are going to create problems in the future, then we just stop doing it. We stop engaging in those actions. So actually very, very useful, these teachings, because we can, in a sense, engineer our future, although that's not a great word to use here, but we can determine how we're going to live in the future, by and large. Does that make sense? So anyway, law of karma, very important, basic Buddhism, and it's amazing how many people cannot accept or digest it, and also understandable because it is a difficult topic. Many so-called Buddhists don't accept past and future lives, so that becomes problematic when we look at the law of karma, because that is operating over many, many, many lifetimes, according to the Buddha. So anyway, something to think about. So we're nearing the end of our session. We didn't look at habitual patterns and further deconstruction of the self today, but that's okay. We're going over some important ground, which hopefully can help us to be careful about how we act, how we behave, realizing that it has consequences. Quite apart from the consequences on people right now. Of course, we shouldn't lie or steal and so forth, because it harms people right now. It gives suffering to people. We shouldn't just think about the suffering it creates for us or our continuum in the future. It creates problems for people right now. Yeah. So, maybe while I remember, I can use this as an opportunity to advertise something. It's been there on the Tushita WhatsApp group, but you can mention it to people. On the 17th of December at 10:30 a.m. in Delhi, at the IIC, India International Center, the great teacher Taisi Rinpoche will be giving a talk, on relative world, ultimate mind. He is a very marvelous Lama, a great speaker. It's worthwhile, to listen to someone like that. Very, very worthwhile. So that's 10:30 on the 17th of December at IIC, Delhi, India International Center. So kindly insert this in your diary and tell people about it, especially people who might be living in the Delhi area. Yeah. And probably, Ajirji, you think it would be okay if people just turn up without registering? There would be enough room. What do you think? Or Should people
I
try
think
to
it's
register?
good to, it is good to do the registration.
So if you need to know about registration, you should check on the Tushita WhatsApp group. We will send that
Yeah.
out regularly, the registration link. Yeah. He's a
I
great
think,
teacher.
yeah,
Ah.
Kabirji, you can mention the name of the book. I think the people would like to read
Yes.
before the talk so that they
Yes.
can relate with his teachings.
If you have time, yeah, you could read the book Relative World, Ultimate Mind. Yeah. Relative World, Ultimate Mind by Situ Rinpoche. Situ Rinpoche. Yeah. Relative World, Ultimate Mind. But even if you don't read it, you'll still get a lot from the talk, and you will be able to witness one of the really great teachers of our times. Yeah, maybe not as well
12th
known.
reincarnation.
Sorry.
He is the 12th Taisitu Rinpoche.
Right. Right.
And has been the teacher of Karmapa.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a very great teacher. Yeah. Has a monastery in Himachal Pradesh, a very, very nice monastery with a big statue of the future Buddha, Maitreya. Yeah, very beautiful place near Bir in Himachal. Okay, so we've come to that time of the session where we dedicate the positive energy that we've generated. So, through this session of looking at some of the teachings that we've looked at before, a very important topic we've been looking at, actions, their effects, since we do wish for happiness, we should know exactly how to create causes for happiness and avoid causes for suffering. That's very important. That's just, like someone who wants to remain healthy physically would avoid what they know to be causes of physical sickness and engage in that which is healthier. So hopefully there's been some positive energy, some positive input there. So we dedicate at the end of the session that through this energy we've generated together, we dedicate that towards the happiness and welfare of beings, humans, animals. We dedicate so that war and disease and famine and so forth in the world comes to an end, that people see the benefit of helping one another, caring for one another, rather than destroying one another. We must pray that we are always connected with the teachings. We are never separated from the authentic teachings and authentic teachers, great teachers. May the great teachers, like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Situ Rinpoche, and others, may they have very long and healthy lives. May their wishes be fulfilled. Also need to dedicate for one monk, a friend and a monk of many years in our organization who passed away in a coffee shop in Delhi yesterday, Max Redlich, Gelek, who did a lot of work for Lama Zopa Rinpoche, for our centers. He passed away yesterday in Delhi. And his cremation, we don't know when it'll be. The police have not released the body yet because he's Australian. So we dedicate for him, and many lamas are praying for him. Actually, he had many, many friends and teachers are already praying for him. But we can also dedicate for him. He's did so much work for Lama Zopa Rinpoche. Yeah, for many years, he had a very tough life. anyway, I won't give his whole biography today. Maybe another time.
Where,
More. I don't know, somewhere under
where did it happen?
I'm not sure. We don't even know exactly which coffee shop he passed away in.
Oh.
It was Majnu Katila or in Delhi. But I identified the body yesterday. Not they didn't allow me to go to the body, but they showed me the photo at Connaught Place police station.
I also knew him very well for
Yeah.
long. Yeah.
So please pray for him, for him to
Sure.
meet the teachings again, and to be able to continue his practice. He was a Buddhist monk for many years. Yeah. So, and also pray for other people, who have died. We can pray for also this 4-day truce that has been happening, which ends tomorrow at 7 a.m. in Israel, Gaza. May they extend the truce. May there be more peace, more hostages released on both sides. And may a peaceful situation develop quickly in that part of the world where so many are suffering. Yeah, so like that. And may our lives become very meaningful for others in all sorts of ways, through our helping others, through guiding them, being kind to them, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much. Tomorrow we have at 6:30 we have Tara Puja at Tushita. So and we'll be dedicating especially for someone called Ritu Varuni and her family. But of course, anyone who wants to come and dedicate and bring any offerings, fruits or flowers or food, very welcome tomorrow. 6:30 at Tushita. Yeah. So thank you all very much for your patience, and take care. Thank you.
Thank you.